Let me tell you a story about a secret. On this past Friday, July, what was it, 11th, I think? So, July 11th, 2026, behind the gates of Highgrove, a private family meeting reportedly took place. A father saw his son, a grandfather saw his grandchildren for the first time in several years. There were no public photographs, no official family portrait, no statement from Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, no smiling image released for the newspapers. It was, we were told, private. And yet, within hours, the public knew where the meeting happened. We knew that the concert queen Camilla was reportedly present. We knew that King Charles was supposedly adamant that the meeting remain private. We were told that Harry had assured his father he would not speak about it. We were told even how excited Prince Archie and Princess Lilibeth supposedly were, and that Harry had allegedly been making rather frantic calls to the king's aides. That is quite a lot of information about a meeting that was supposedly protected by absolute privacy. So let me ask you this. How does a private family moment become a Vanity Fair exclusive? Who told the so-called journalists? Who confirmed the meeting? Who provided the details? And why is the story already being constructed around the idea that Prince Harry must promise not to speak when the palace aide, or I should say, when the palace side appears to be doing most of the speaking? Because this is not simply a story about a family reunion, is it now? This is a story about leaks. It is a story about how royal narratives are manufactured. And perhaps, most importantly, it is a story about how the people doing the briefings can persuade the public that somebody else is the danger. So welcome. This is Majesty Sussex Report, and I'm Antonio. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time here with us. Don't go anywhere. We start right after this intro. Thank you for sticking around. Before we begin today's podcast officially, like the content of it, I want to take a brief moment to address something. Our last episode, Highgrove Surprise, was viewed by many people, and it also received a considerable number of comments and thoughtful interactions. I am deeply grateful to everyone who watched, listened, and contributed to the conversation. That episode, when I recorded it, I didn't have much of a script. I just recorded. Therefore, and I didn't do a lot of editing either of the voiceover. So among those responses, there were a few remarks about my voice and the way I speak. I will not repeat them because they're not worthy of being amplified. However, I do want to say this openly. I have a speech impediment. I stutter. I also mispronounce words, and it just, no matter what I do, it's difficult to pronounce it the proper way it's supposed to pronounce. It just happens. It's just the way it is. Most of the time, it is manageable, but it can become more noticeable when I am tired, emotionally invested, or especially energetic about a subject. What many people may not realize is that I spend a great deal of extra time recording these episodes. I often stop, begin again, and redo sections of the voiceover so that I can present the work as clearly as possible. Producing one episode can take much longer than it may appear because I'm constantly editing around moments when my speech becomes difficult. But I do the work. I continue. And I remain proud of what I produce. I am proud of the research. I am proud of the writing. I am proud of the care that I put into all of this. My integrity, right? That goes into every episode on this channel. So to those who offered criticism, with cruelty rather than kindness, understand this. Your comments do not diminish me, and they will not silence me. I have heard worse, and people have said it to my face. A person's voice is not less valuable because it sometimes trembles, pauses, or struggles to release a word or mispronounces a word. What matters is whether that person, that voice, has something honest to say. And let me tell you, mine does. I think it does. So, thank you for your comment. Thank you for the interaction. But, there was no need to word the things, or word your advice or your commentary the way you did. Thank you anyways. And now, let us begin.
I mean, the saddest part of it was this wedge created between myself and my brother so that he's now on the institution side. And I get, part of that I understand, right? That's his inheritance. So to some extent, it's already ingrained in him that part of his responsibility is the survivability and the continuation of this institution.
There's been an unbelievably sad breakdown between the brothers.
They always used to be in step, and they're clearly out of step now.
That day, a story that came out saying that part of the reason why Meghan and I were leaving was because William had bullied us out. And once I got in the car after the meeting, I was told about a joint statement that had been put out in my name and my brother's name, squashing the story about him bullying us out of the family.
A sign of public unity from the brothers, who issued a joint statement calling the report false, offensive, and potentially harmful.
I couldn't believe it. No one had asked me. No one had asked me permission to put my name to a statement like that. And I rang and I told her, and she burst into floods of tears, because within 4 hours they were happy to lie to protect my brother. And yet, for 3 years, they were never willing to tell the truth to protect us.
Suddenly, what clicked in my head was, it's never going to stop. Every rumor, every negative thing, every lie, everything that I knew wasn't true and that the palace knew wasn't true and internally they knew wasn't true, that was just being allowed to fester.
When you read a royal exclusive, do not begin with the emotion of the headline. I would say begin with the verbs. What verbs are they? Well, who confirmed? Who understands? Who believes? Who insists? Who reveals? And who is hiding behind the words, a source close to? The Vanity Fair article begins by reported that King Charles reunited with Prince Harry, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, Prince Archie, and Princess Lilibeth during a private gathering at Highgrove. But here is the crucial part. The article says Buckingham Palace confirmed that the meeting happened. Well, the palace confirmed it, not the Sussex spokesperson, not Archwell, not Harry, not Meghan. Buckingham Palace did. The article then says that although the palace would not discuss the length or substance of the meeting, it was understood that Queen Camilla was also present. Well, understood by whom? Who wanted the public to know that Camilla was there? The article then reports that a source said no photographs would be released and that Harry had assured King Charles he would not speak publicly about the gathering. Again, who supplied that information? Who was present when this assurance was supposedly given? Was it Harry? Was it Charles? Was it one of the courtiers surrounding the king? Was it communicated through intermediaries? The article does not tell us, but it places the alleged promise in the story as though it were necessary, as though Harry's silence had to be negotiated and guaranteed. Then we reach the headline claim. Sources close to King Charles reportedly said he wanted the meeting but was adamant that it remain private. Sources close to Queen Camilla said she wanted to be at her husband's side. And then there is one quotation attributed to what Vanity Fair calls a source close to the Sussexes, describing the children as excited and Harry as making rather frantic calls to the king's aid. That attribution should not simply be ignored, but neither should it be treated as an official statement from Harry and Meghan. Close to the Sussexes is not the same as authorized by the Sussexes or the spokesperson. It is not the same as the spokesperson speaking on the record. It is not the same as Harry or Meghan giving an interview. In fact, the article itself says that the Sussex spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment. So let us be precise. We do not know who the unnamed Sussex adjacent source was, whether that person was authorized to speak or whether the description accurately represented Harry's state of mind. What we do know is that the palace confirmed the meeting and that sources aligned with Charles and Camilla supplied the central emotional architecture of the story. Charles wanted the meeting. Charles demanded privacy. Camilla was supportive. Harry was frantic. Harry had to promise not to speak. Do you see how the roles have already been assigned? Before we know a single meaningful detail about what happened inside Highgrove, the characters have been arranged for us. The king is firm. The queen is loyal. The grandchildren are excited. And Harry is the person whose behavior must be contained. Words are not decorative. Words carry judgment. The article describes Charles as adamant. Adamant sounds decisive, principled, controlled. A man establishing a reasonable boundary. Harry, meanwhile, is described as rather frantic. Frantic sounds emotional, unstable, desperate, possibly difficult. One man is presented as the guardian of order. The other is presented as the source of disorder. But ask yourself this: what evidence are we given that Harry was frantic? Did we hear the calls? Did we see the messages? Did Harry describe himself that way? Or did an unnamed source chose an emotionally loaded adjective and hand it to a journalist? Or did the journalists decide to describe him that way? Now, consider the phrase, Harry assured the king that he would not speak publicly. What purpose does that detail serve? It does not tell us what happened during the meeting. It does not tell us whether the children enjoyed themselves. It does not tell us whether father and son discussed reconciliation, security, or the future. Its purpose is to reinforce an existing narrative. Harry talks. Harry reveals. Harry cannot be trusted. Harry must be made to promise silence. But there is an extraordinary contradiction sitting at the center of that framing. You see, the public learned that Harry supposedly promised not to reveal the meeting because someone else revealed his supposedly promise to Vanity Fair. The palace side appears to have briefed a journalist about Harry agreeing not to brief journalists. Think about that. The privacy demand became part of the publicity. The promise of silence became part of the leak. That is not simply irony, my friends. That is narrative strategy. Because the story was not merely released, it was released with instructions about how the public should interpret it, how they should feel about it.
A little boy walked behind a coffin while the whole world watched. He learned too young that love can vanish beneath 1,000 flashing lights. He carried wounds he never showed. He carried grief through every year. But somewhere in the pain he found the courage stronger than the fear. And when the storm came for his family, he refused to look away. He chose love before approval. He chose truth before the game. He chose peace before the palace, and they never forgave his name. But honor is not measured by the crown upon your head. It's standing by the ones you love through every word that's said. Good King Harry, good King Harry. Two tours beneath the desert sky, a soldier serving side by side. He saw the cost that war can leave in hearts that hurt long after time. So he built a place for healing where the wounded could rise again. A promise called Invictus, giving hope where darkness had been.
Feminegra asks the most obvious and perhaps the most important question in this entire story. If King Charles was truly adamant that the reunion remain private, why did Buckingham Palace confirm that it happened? That question cannot be brushed aside. The palace could have said nothing. It could have declined to confirm or deny the meeting. It could have protected the children by refusing to participate in the media cycle. Instead, the meeting was confirmed, and palace-facing sources supplied enough material to create an exclusive location, participants, the king's alleged wishes, Camilla's alleged feelings, Harry's supposed promise, the absence of photographs, the emotional state of the children, the alleged urgency of Harry's calls. So what exactly was being kept private? The conversation? Perhaps. The length of the visit? Apparently. But the existence of the meeting, its basic participants, and the palace's preferred interpretation of it were all handed to the press. That is not complete privacy. It is controlled disclosure. And there is an important difference. Privacy says, this belongs to the family. Controlled disclosure says, we will tell the public only those details that serve our position. Let me ask, do you believe the palace was protecting a private family reunion? Or was the palace protecting its ownership of the story? Because those are not the same thing. When many people hear the word leak, they imagine a careless person whispering something they should not have said. But institutional leaks are often far more deliberate. A strategic leak can test public reaction. It can damage a rival without requiring an official statement. It can create distance between the institution and the allegation. It can place an idea into circulation while allowing everyone involved to deny responsibility. And royal reporting is filled with phrases designed to protect this machinery. Sources close to the king, friends of the prince, a royal insider, a senior courtier, a source familiar with the situation. These sources can shape public understanding without ever stepping into the light. And there is another double standard operating here. When palace sources speak anonymously, it is called briefing. When royal correspondents receive those briefings, it is called reporting. But when Harry speaks openly, under his own name, about his own experiences, it is called betrayal. When the palace provides private details, it is treated as institutional clarification. When Harry challenges the palace's version, he is accused of leaking. Do you see the imbalance? One side is permitted to speak through shadows. The other is condemned even when speaking openly. One side can brief against you anonymously, but when you answer publicly, your answer becomes proof that you cannot be trusted. That is a nearly impossible trap. Remain silent, and the palace narrative hardens into accepted fact. Respond, and your response is used as evidence that you reveal private matters. So what is Harry supposed to do? Allow anonymous sources to define his intentions, emotions, and relationships forever. Feminegra offers another interpretation of the timing. It argues that the palace may have wanted to get ahead of a more emotionally powerful story. Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet spending time with the Spencer family at Althorpe and possibly visiting Princess Diana's resting place. Now, we should be responsible here. Timing alone does not prove motive. We cannot state as established fact that Charles approved this disclosure because he feared being overshadowed by Diana's family. That remains an interpretation, but it is an interpretation worth examining because of the emotional power of the alternative image. Imagine what that story might have looked like. Diana's younger son returning to her ancestral home. Her grandchildren walking the grounds of Althorpe. Archie and Lilibet being welcomed by the Spencer side of their family. Harry introducing his children to the history, memory, and legacy of the grandmother they never had the opportunity to meet. That would be a deeply moving story. It would also invite an uncomfortable question. Why did the Spencer family appear able to welcome Harry, Meghan, and their children while the Windsor relationship remained defined by disputes over security, accommodation, and trust? Then, before that image could dominate the emotional landscape, the public was told that Charles had welcomed the family at Highgrove. Again, that does not prove a calculated palace intervention, but it does affect the optics. Charles is no longer the absent grandfather while the Spencers embrace Diana's grandchildren. He is now part of the story. He wanted the meeting. He saw the children. Camilla was there. And according to the sources, the king was protecting everyone's privacy. Ask yourself, was this simply a family moment that happened to become public? Or did somebody understand that the first version of the story would shape everything that followed? In public relations, the first credible narrative often becomes the frame through which later information is interpreted, and the palace has generations of experience managing that first frame.
Simple. They knew the family would encourage us not to sue.
We sat down with the lawyer for the institution and senior members of the palace. And it was in those meetings that I reminded them that I wrote that letter at the guidance of senior members of the family. You know this is unlawful, so we have to draw the line. We have to take legal action. So they said, yes, of course. And I would follow up for weeks and weeks and weeks. Hey, what's going on with this? Nothing.
After months of saying, she needs to do something about this, we took separate legal advice.
I knew from the first meeting that this was really serious, in that it was having a horrid impact on Meghan. There's a narrative that the royal family adopt a never complain, never explain approach to the media. And I think Meghan went along with that for a long period. But there was a real kind of war against Meghan. And I've certainly seen evidence that there was negative briefing from the palace against Harry and Meghan to suit other people's agendas.
Here is what Vanity Fair does not tell us. It does not tell us what Charles said to Harry. It does not tell us what Harry said to Charles. It does not tell us how Meghan was received. It does not tell us whether the meeting was warm, formal, emotional, or uncomfortable. It does not tell us how long the children spent with their grandfather. It does not tell us whether any progress was made on security. It does not tell us if there will be another meeting. It does not contain an on-record comment from the Sussexes. Yet, despite knowing almost nothing about the substance of the reunion, the reader is given a very clear emotional message. Charles was eager but cautious. Camilla was present and supportive. Harry was desperate to make the meeting happen. Harry had to reassure his father. That is the power of framing. You do not need to invent the entire event. You only need to select the details that tell the audience how to feel. And this is why media literacy matters. The question is not only, is this sentence technically possible? The deeper question is, why was this sentence included? Why did the public need to know Harry supposedly promised not to speak? Why did the public need to know that Charles was adamant? Why did the public need the description of him being frantic? Why were those emotional details more important than any evidence of what actually happened between father and son? Perhaps because the real product being sold was not information about the meeting. The real product was the familiar story of a dignified monarch cautiously managing an unpredictable Harry. This is not the first time that Harry has argued that palace machinery shaped a public statement while using his identity to give that statement legitimacy. In Spare, Harry describes what happened around the Sandringham summit in January 2020. According to his account, drafts had already been prepared for several possible outcomes before the discussion had concluded. That, by itself, may be explained as institutional preparation. Large organizations routinely prepare statements for multiple scenarios, but Harry also describes a separate statement issued in the names of both brothers, denying a report that William's behavior had contributed to the Sussexes' departure. Harry's complaint was not necessarily that every allegation in the newspaper report was true. His complaint was that his name had been attached to words he says he had neither seen nor approved. Think about how significant that is. Imagine opening the newspapers and discovering that a public statement had been issued in your name, a statement addressing your relationship with your brother, a statement shaping how the public understands one of the most painful decisions of your life. And you did not approve it. How would you feel? How would you try and protect yourself? Would you even feel protected at all? Or would you feel that you were being managed? Would you feel represented, or would you feel erased because you don't have a voice at this point? This is not merely a disagreement about wording. It speaks to who possesses the authority to define Harry's experience. The institution could allegedly place words beneath his name to protect the royal image. But when Harry later used his own voice to describe what happened, that act was characterized as disloyalty. That is the pattern. Institutional storytelling is treated as duty. Personal testimony is treated as betrayal.
For years, the public has been told that Harry cannot be trusted. We are told that this is why private meetings cannot happen, why conversations must be limited, why family members are supposedly cautious around him, why reconciliation is difficult. But whenever this accusation appears, we should ask for evidence. Which specific confidential conversation did Harry secretly leak to a journalist? Who received it? When was it published? What evidence connects the disclosure directly to Harry? Because speaking publicly in a memoir is not the same thing as secretly feeding anonymous stories to the press. Giving an interview under your own name is not the same as arranging a covert briefing through unnamed courtiers. You may agree or disagree with Harry's decision to publish Spare. You may believe some matters should have remained private. That is a legitimate discussion. But authorship is transparent. His name is on the cover. He accepts responsibility for what he says. Anonymous palace briefings operate differently. They give powerful people the benefit of influence without the burden of accountability. And yet Harry, the person speaking openly, is called the leaker, while the anonymous sources are called insiders. Why? Why is an identifiable person telling his own story considered more untrustworthy than invisible people telling stories about him? That question goes far beyond the royal family. It goes to the heart of how institutional power protects itself.
Henry Charles Albert David, Duke of Sussex.
It's a long one.
Yeah. All right, Jake.
Wow, what the was that? What do we do now?
If you could swap lives with one other famous Harry, just for one day, who would you choose out of Harry Styles, Harry Kane, or Harry Potter?
Kane on a winning day.
Oh, no.
What? I can't choose that?
Winning day.
On a winning day, yeah. You don't want to be Kane on a losing day, do you?
You don't want to be Kane in Aldi on a random Sunday. That'd be
No,
horrible.
Given the current circumstances,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, with the pressure that's on him,
Yeah.
I'd like to be Kane winning
On a winning
on
day.
a winning day with a squeaky voice.
Hello! I'm so happy to be here.
I thought it was great.
So good.
It was absolutely. It was brilliant.
Is it coming?
Is it coming home?
Is it?
I think it's coming home.
Yeah, it's coming out.
An interview which caused a rift, not just within the royal family, but actually internationally. Britain was accused, not just the royals, Britain was accused of being a little racist island.
Yeah, so are you saying that the issue is the reporting of that?
We have also seen how carefully framed claims can be repeated until the original words disappear. Consider the Oprah interview, for example. Meghan described conversations and concerns surrounding Archie's skin color. Harry discussed the issue but refused to identify the individual or individuals involved. Later, the entire conversation was repeatedly compressed into a much broader claim that Harry and Meghan had branded the whole royal family, and sometimes Britain itself, as racist. Harry later rejected that formulation when Tom Bradley asked him about it. But by then, the simplified version had been repeated so often that many people treated it as direct quotation. This is how narrative laundering works. A person says one thing, A commentator expands its meaning, another publication reports the expansion, a television panel debates the expanded version, and eventually the public remembers the commentary more clearly than the original statement. The same danger exists here. The article does not prove Harry intended to publicize the meeting. It does not show that Harry threatened to reveal anything. It does not contain an official Sussex comment. But by including the claim that Harry had to assure Charles of his silence, the reader is invited to assume that the risk existed. And once the assumption is planted, future commentators can say, "Of course, Charles was worried. Everyone knows Harry talks." But how did everyone come to know that Harry talks? Because unnamed sources repeatedly told them so. There is also a larger context that cannot be ignored. Harry and Meghan no longer have Frogmore Cottage, the secure UK residence they once used. They repaid the renovation costs associated with the property, yet the home was eventually removed from their use. Harry has continued fighting over security arrangements for himself and his family in Britain. Whether one thinks of the legal argument, the underlying concern is serious. He is the son of the king. His wife and children are internationally recognized. The family has faced documented threats, and Harry has repeatedly argued that bringing his children to Britain without adequate protection creates an unacceptable risk. So when the family finally enters Britain and a private visit takes place, what happens? The institution confirms their location. The press reports their movements. Sources discuss the family's plans. The possibility of an Antwerp visit becomes public. And then the same machinery tells us that Charles was worried Harry might speak. Can we pause here for a minute and recognize the imbalance? The Sussexes are expected to entrust their location, movements, and children to an institution with a long history of palace briefings. Yet Harry is still cast as the privacy threat. Now, at what point do we ask whether the accusation has been reversed? Right? It's like a complete projecting of who really is the one that is leaking all the time. Let's return to the human center of this story. Perhaps the meeting was meaningful. Perhaps Charles was genuinely happy to see Archie and Lilibeth. Perhaps the children were excited to meet their grandfather again. Perhaps Meghan and Camilla found a way to be civil and gracious. Well, for sure, I know Meghan would be. Perhaps Harry and his father experienced a moment of honesty. We should leave room for that possibility. Not everything has to be reduced to strategy. They are real people inside these institutions. They are complicated relationships. There is illness, age, grief, distance, and loss of time. And children should never be turned into pieces on a public relations chessboard. I sincerely hope that whatever happened inside Highgrove belonged for at least a few moments to family. But hoping that the meeting was sincere does not require us to ignore what happened afterwards. A meaningful private moment can still be followed by a calculated public narrative. Both things can be true. The meeting may have been real. The affection may have been real. And the media management may also have been real. Here is where we must be exact. Vanity Fair attributes one quotation to an unnamed source described as close to the Sussexes. We do not know who that person was. We do not know whether the person was authorized. We do not know whether the description of Harry as frantic was accurate. We should not pretend to know what the evidence does not establish. But the Sussex spokesperson did not provide an official comment. Buckingham Palace confirmed the meeting. Sources close to Charles and Camilla supplied the claim that he demanded privacy. Sources close to Camilla supply her position. And an unnamed source supplied the claim that Harry had assured the king he would remain silent. Therefore, the central privacy narrative did not emerge from an on-record Sussex statement. It emerged through anonymous sourcing and palace confirmation. That distinction matters. We do not need to exaggerate the evidence to make the argument. The contradiction is already strong enough. The palace confirmed a private meeting. Palace-facing sources, allegedly, explained that Charles demanded privacy. The media then used those disclosures to reinforce the idea that Harry might violate that privacy. The institution spoke publicly about the need for Harry not to speak publicly. That is the story. But they did. They spoke publicly. So let's return to the question with which we began. How does a private family reunion become an exclusive? It becomes an exclusive because somebody wants the public to know. Somebody confirmed it. Somebody supplies the details. Somebody chooses the adjectives. Somebody decides that Charles will be adamant and Harry will be frantic. Somebody decides that the public should know Harry supposedly promised silence. And then, after all that information has been placed into circulation, the old accusations remain. Harry cannot be trusted. But this time, the architecture of the story is visible. The palace did not merely allow the meeting to become public, it participated in defining what the meeting meant. Charles was the cautious father. Camilla was the supportive wife. Harry was the anxious son seeking access. And the Sussexes were reminded that their place inside the family would be conditional, controlled, and narrated by others. My question to you is this. Do you believe this was truly about protecting privacy? Or was privacy simply the theme chosen for the public relations campaign? Do you believe the meeting would have been confirmed if there was no advantage in confirming it? And why is Harry expected to remain silent while palace sources continue speaking in every direction? Well, leave your thoughts in the comment section, because I genuinely want to know how you sort of read this whole thing. For me, the central issue is not that a grandfather met his grandchildren. I hope that meeting brought them some measure of warmth. The issue is what happened once the gates were closed behind them. A private moment was transformed into a media narrative. A demand for silence was broadcast to the world, and the people warning us that Harry might leak were the very people supplying the press with the story. The loudest leak was not the revelation that the family met. The loudest leak was the claim that Harry could not be trusted with the meeting. And once again, the institution spoke while telling us that Harry was the problem for having a voice. I mean, really? But that is what they continue to do. And you have these royal rota, royal reporters, correspondents, book writers, fantasy inventors, and creative speeches saying some of the most vilest things and then hiding behind this sort of, oh, well, freedom of press. It is what it is. It is what it is. But over and over and over again, I am telling you, to me, it all seems fixed, right? That whole situation. Fix, 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 fix. Too bad. And how sad and pathetic is William. That whole, him and his wife, look, listen, I am happy that they're out there, at least working, whatever we call that, what they do work, because come on, it's not really work, right? I'm happy that they've been busy. But if the Sussexes were not in the UK, it would not be happening. I mean, all of a sudden, Kate shows up at hospital and she is sitting there with patients. Now, the thing I didn't see was the big headlines and people screaming that how inconsiderate Kate is because she's putting the health of these children in danger. Because if you will recall, that's what they said when Harry and Meghan visited the hospital in Melbourne, in Australia. I mean, there is no getting through to stupidity, to ignorance. There's no getting through to hatred. And I'm not fascinated. I'm just sort of, I watch these people sometimes and they say these things with just a straight face. They just say it. It just flows out of their mouth. And I keep thinking over and over, how polluted, how rotten must be your soul. How rotten that you make a living. You make a living like that.
Well, my beautiful people, I don't think anything that I've said in the last 30 minutes or so is a surprise to any of you or to most of you, because this is stuff that I think we already know. I just wanted to put some structure to it, right? And to lay it out on the table, basically. And because when we present things, we come with receipts, we come with evidence, we come with research, not like other people, the ones that continuously just invent things out of their posterior. We don't do that. We show up, do good, tell the truth as we see it and as we know it, not these fabricated nonsense that people tend to fabricate, and then you have a herd of imbeciles that follow them. But, anyways, enough insults. I'm not here to throw insults to anyone. I did something today that was fun, and I am so happy with my accomplishment that I'm going to share it with all of you. Ta-da! I baked bread. I did, and it actually turned out really, really good. And you just need like I saw this on, was it on TikTok? I think I saw it, but it was just flour, water, yeast, and what else? Am I missing something? Uh, no, I think that was it. Flour, water, yeast. Oh, salt, and oh, that's what I forgot to add to the bread. Salt. I forgot to add salt, but it's actually really good. Really, 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 really good. Um, so maybe I'll start baking my own bread because it's not only delicious, it was kind of fun to do. Maybe maybe in one of the other episodes I'll just show you folks what I did to produce this magnificent bread. Um all right, so if this is the first time you have come into contact with us, you know, the algorithm somehow, somewhere put us in front of you, and you have listened through today's episode, today's podcast. Thank you. And I do hope that you subscribe because it's important. All right. And for my regulars, you know the drill. The algorithm wants us to tango with it. So we like, we share, we comment. Nice stuff, okay? I take criticism. That's fine. I'm okay with constructive criticism. Don't don't say silly things and stupid things. Look, this is a positive space, all right, for the most part. Because sometimes when I need to be like negative, I, I am, but I try not to be. But thank you. So do all those things so that we are noticed and the algorithm still knows that we are still here, the little channel that could and can and will, the Choo Choo channel. So if you're new, thank you, thank you, thank you. Subscribe, please. And hope to see you interacting in the comment sections and all of that. What else I wanted to say? Oh, well, this is something. This is I was gonna start to close, but then I just remembered Prince Harry and the relaxing goat goat therapy or whatever they call it. I just thought it was the cutest thing ever. The cutest thing. I just had such a laugh watching it, and that little kid, I'm telling you, stole the show. I just fell in love with him. I was like, come here, let me just pinch you. Um, they interviewed his mom briefly, and she said, his dad has passed. Um, and she said, anytime he sees, oh, why am I getting emotional? Like, I get emotional over this stuff. And anytime he's in company of like male, like a guy, a man, he kind of just becomes alive, and he's just from bushes, and he just he's just like that. And she said, he doesn't remember his dad anymore. Um, but she goes, it's just anytime there's someone like a Prince Harry, he kind of takes over almost. Like he just wants the attention from that person. This world, I tell you, this world is, there's so much suffering in this world, but also there's so much hope. There people finding things and bringing their light to others. I just get frustrated sometimes, I'll be honest, because what the media, what so much we see consistently is the negative and the bad stuff. And we have leaders that are just not leaders, they're just there to pocket money and become more richer and just create a bigger, divide between the haves and the have-nots. But stuff like Scotty's Little Soldier and all of that, and it just brings me such joy. One person's idea, one person went, okay, if I'm going through this kind of suffering and my kids are, let me do something about it, right? It takes one person to make a change and to make such a big difference. All right, my beautiful people. I will bid you. One other thing. I'm always last minute remembering these things. Do check out Buy Me a Coffee. I haven't posted anything new yet up there, but I'll be putting some more music and stuff. So if you wanted to purchase any, you can purchase it from Buy Me a Coffee, and also there are music up there also that is free. You can just download it. And what else I was going to say? Oh, you know what I wanted to show you, folks? I wanted to show you because YouTube just have this new feature that shows us creators how much we're getting paid or how much they will pay out or how much monies you've gained for that episode or whatever. So I should be showing that to you right now because I'm just doing the voiceover and then I'm going to do this clip. And that's it. So for anyone, I'm not making myself millions or being rich here by doing this. As you see, you get into the thousands of whatever views and you just get $1 or $2 or something. It's not I'm not getting rich, I'll tell you that. So do, when you can, support the channel, please. I don't usually ask because I feel odd and weird asking, but do support the channel when you can. For those who are members of the Royal Court, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your continued support. I really, really, really do. Anyways, that's it. Wow, I've talked already for 10 minutes. Gee, what a talker. I love you folks. Thank you so very much. You mean the world to me. Thank you for your continued support, for continuing to believe in this channel, and you inspire my creativity all the time for me to put things out there for you. For you, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. All right, so be kind to yourself, be kind to your loved ones, and to those who are crossing your path, that stranger. Be kind to them. You never know. God bless. Love you. Take care. Until we speak again. Mwah.
A little boy walked behind a coffin while the whole world watched. He learned too young that love can vanish beneath 1,000 flashing lights. He carried wounds he never showed. He carried grief through every year. But somewhere in the pain he found the courage stronger than the fear. And when the storm came for his family, he refused to look away. Beneath the desert sky, a soldier serving side by side. He saw the cost of war can leave in hearts that hurt long after time. So he built a place for healing where the wounded could rise again. A promise called Invictus, giving hope where darkness had been. Forgiveness is 100% a possibility. Still the door remains closed, and still the silence grows across the years and miles. I would like a family, not an institution. Smile, just a family, just a family.